When it comes to upgrading your bike, it can seem like a bit of a minefield. To help out, Ferg and I have put together some of our favourite upgrades, all the way from budget to top end, and even made them discipline specific.
As you can see, James is on his Race XC bike and I'm on my trusty trail bike. James and I have been lucky enough to ride some amazing bikes over the years, and throughout our racing careers, we've established a few key upgrades that are essentials to any bike.
Let's first kick things off with some budget-friendly upgrades to max out your performance without breaking the bank.
So, kicking things off, we have grips.
Yeah, that's right, Ferg. That's one of the first changes I always make to a new bike.
These are incredibly rider-specific, but also discipline-specific.
Yeah, for me, for example, I always run a set of foam grips on an XC bike. They're one of the most cost-effective ways to drop a few grams, saving almost half the weight on a traditional lock-on grip. And they also offer a little bit of vibration dampening on a slightly shorter travel bike.
Amazing. I run the Ergon DH grips. Now, these have an ergonomic platform to maximise comfort and grip when you're sending it down the trails. Next up, we have converting your tyres to tubeless. This not only allows you to reduce the air pressure and improve your grip out on the trails, but it also helps with puncture protection. This is because sealant in the tyres runs round the rim and helps to clog any punctures you might get through the tyre wall, keeping air in your tyres and allowing you to enjoy the ride out on the trails.
Yeah, I find this really important on an XC bike. Really being able to drop those pressures really helps because we typically run slicker tyres, so it's great for grip. As well as having a slightly shorter travel bike, it helps with comfort a bit. Being able to take the inner tubes out your bike as well really reduces that rotational mass. I know it's only a marginal gain, but every little bit helps. Next upgrade we've got is disc brake rotors and pads. In cross country, as we typically ride less aggressive descents, I opt for slightly smaller disc brake rotors as there's less heat build up and they're slightly lighter.
In enduro and downhill, we're all about heat dissipation. Because of the prolonged downhills, brake fade and heat build-up are a real problem and can cause crashes and brake failure. By improving rotor size and also thickness, this stops heat build-up and also improves our pad contact, which improves our stopping power.
Brake pads. These are often something I'd change based on the weather conditions and trails I'm riding. You've got semi-sintered, sintered and organic to suit whatever riding you're doing.
Not only does changing your brake pad compound on differing weather conditions improve your bite point and improve the braking feel of the brakes, putting a fresh set in helps to give that lever feel and also keep a consistent brake position throughout your riding. It's a great way to improve your confidence under braking and therefore allow you to get off the brakes and ride faster. On-bike trail tool storage may not be a performance enhancement, but it certainly is a day saver and also can get you out of a bind when you get a mechanical. It also allows you to make really good on-trail adjustments to your bike when you're out for a ride.
Yeah, for me especially, I like to try and store as many of my tools on my bike as possible. It leaves my pockets free for any food I want to bring out on a ride or any extra layers I need to bring should the weather change. Toe Peak make this really handy trail tool that's integrated into your bottle cage, meaning I keep my pockets free for anything I want to bring out with me on the trail.
Now, tyres.
These are possibly one of the best upgrades you can make to your bike and also one of the most discipline-specific upgrades you can do.
Having enduro or downhill casing tyres not only means that you can run lower pressures and get more grip, but it also gives you that added support when you're pressing into corners or hitting the rough stuff, and also helps with puncture protection.
For cross country, I will run a slightly lighter casing tyre. Rotational mass is something that's really important to get you up those climbs quick and to accelerate, and I don't quite need the support and puncture protection that Ferg does. With my tread pattern, I'll run something as fast a rolling as I can with a slightly lower tyre pressure, so I can get up those climbs really quick, but still have a little bit of grip.
Now, we're lucky enough to partner with Vittoria, who do an amazing range of different tread patterns and also compounds in all of their different tyres, and do a range for XC and enduro and also downhill. Now, they range in lots of different prices. They come from around £40 right up to £110 or euros. Now, that's why it fits in the mid-range price bracket, but it is an essential compound, as I spoke about before, because it is a key contact point and essential for grip. So definitely one worth putting some money into and will definitely make you ride faster. Now, moving on to the mid-tier upgrades, first up we have saddles. Now, these come in a range of shapes and sizes and are super specific to the rider, but also to their discipline.
Yeah, so for me on my lightweight cross-country bike, I've gone for the lightest saddle possible with carbon fibre rails. Carbon fibre as a material is also a bit more compliant, so it offers a bit more comfort over steel or alloy rails.
Whereas on the Enduro and Trail, we have the trail bike saddle has a little groove cut in it for added comfort. It's on metal rails to make it a bit more burly because you're going to be having crashes, you're just riding down more rough trails. And it also has a bit more of a supportive rear for when you're in the saddle for long periods of time going up those steep climbs. On the downhill side of things, these guys are far more reliant on manoeuvring the bike down the trails, and so they want a smaller saddle as possible, and they're spending less time seated in the seated position, so comfort isn't as much of a priority.
We're really fortunate to be supported by Ergon, although there are other brands out there that will do the same. Ergon offer a saddle for everyone, whether that's wide or narrow, long or short, so it's worth trying a few out to see what's best for you.
Now, you may have noticed we talk a lot about contact points, be it the grips, tyres and pedals. These are our points of contact with the bike and the trail. This helps to inform us of what's going on the trail and how it intersects with our body. On the pedal front, there's an ongoing debate, flat or clips. Now, this is super rider specific, but also discipline specific.
Yeah, so for me as a cross-country athlete, pedaling efficiency and being clipped into my bike has always been a main priority. Being clipped in means you can transfer the power on the full pedal stroke, and also on a shorter travel bike, when the trail gets slightly rougher, it means you just have that extra security. I also run a slightly smaller shell pedal to Fergus, simply as it's slightly lighter, and with a carbon sole XC shoe, I don't need quite the support that he does.
When it comes to trail bikes and enduro bikes, we use a slightly larger platform. Upgrading this platform allows you to improve your grip and also how you interact with the pedal and your shoe. Flat pedal riders will use these longer pins. Using longer pins and a wider platform by upgrading your pedals will not only give you a better feel, but it will also give you a more solid platform to push off of and also allow you to feel grippier and more in contact with your bike. It's been really cool to see in recent years that clip pedals are not fully taken over. Riders like Alex Rudeau and Dan Booker have both won races on flat pedals. It's amazing to see that they're still going strong, and the words of Sam Hill, flat pedals win medals, still run true. Onto the high tier end of the spectrum. Now, these are not essential upgrades, but if you've ticked off everything else in the video, these are some really nice to haves that will definitely upgrade the performance on your bike and add a bit of bling to it. First up, we have wheels. Now, wheels are a huge upgrade you can do to your bike. They can be lightweight, they can be carbon fibre, they can be aluminium. They really range in price, but they also really are, again, discipline specific. So for me, I run the Reynolds Enduro wheels. These are in carbon. The reason for that is because they add stiffness to the bike, which when you're going through rough terrain and things like that, helps you to hold a line. They're also a bit stronger, which again, when you're going through rock gardens and you're really pushing the bike to its limits, you don't want to be thinking about cracking a rim or, having any of those issues.
Yeah, for me, I've always ran carbon hoops on my XC bikes. Like I was saying earlier, rotational mass is one of the biggest gains you can get on your bike. For accelerating, getting up to speed on climbs, it's really important. Like Ferg said as well, they're also a lot stiffer. When you run in a lighter casing tyre and the tyre moves a lot more, stiffer wheel means you just don't get that flex as much in the corner. So yeah, for me, carbon wheels is one of those high-end upgrades that I'd always look to do.
Like we said, they range in price. They can go anything from around £300 for a wheel set for your sort of aluminium upgrade, or if you wanted to go for carbon, they can range right up to around £3,000. So we are really talking some ultimate bling to your bike, but they will add performance. So it's up to you guys to judge whereabouts on that spectrum you want to go if you want to upgrade those bikes.
While this is quite specific to XC, one of the things I couldn't live without with now is a remote lockout. A remote lockout means I can run my suspension at the correct pressures, but then when I'm wanting to climb and get out the saddle, I can lock it out from my handlebar and really keep that efficiency. So I can lock it out, keep the fork nice and firm, and soften it up for when I'm descending as well.
Now, that is very, very specific to XC, right? Yeah. That is not something I'm going to be adding to my enduro bike. However, suspension is. And when we talk about suspension, we could talk about upgrading and changing your forks, and it's going to cost thousands of pounds. But another upgrade that's definitely a performance upgrade, but doesn't require you to actually change your suspension out, is getting a suspension service. So taking it to a service centre, getting them to refresh the oil and replace the seals. It can really add performance because you're going to gain so much small bump sensitivity and also traction out of this. And it's also just going to keep the fork sitting up and performing at its best at all times. This can cost around 150 to 200 pounds, and it really is a great upgrade. I like to keep my suspension nice and serviced, regularly serviced, because, you know, why spend all that money on having a really nice bike if it doesn't perform to its best?
I didn't think when I started racing XC 10 years ago that I'd have a dropper post on my bike, but now it's one of those things again that I don't think I could live without. Being able to get your saddle down and out the way makes technical trails so much easier, and these days they're not even much heavier than traditional old school posts. Dropper posts start around £100, so they're definitely on the upper end of upgrades, but it's something that really makes a big difference being able to get your weight around the bike.
Brakes. Now, you can't ride without them unless you're a BMXer, but upgrading your brakes will not only allow you to ride faster, but also with more confidence. But knowing that you can stop and being able to modulate your brakes better is going to allow you to have more grip and also feel out that braking point much better. They really are an essential upgrade to any bike.
Yeah, so brakes are available in normally 2-piston or 4-piston options. For me on an XC bike, I've got 2-piston option, slightly lighter brake. However, the 4-piston options on Ferg's bike, they offer a slightly larger service area, and there's more pressure going against the brake pads for better stopping power when you're riding more aggressive trails.
Now, brakes come in a range of prices, ranging from around £150 or euros, right the way up to £1,000 or euros for those really, really top-end brakes. It's entirely personal preference, and you can choose to spend as much as you want on them. But at the end of the day, upgrading them definitely will improve your riding and also improve your confidence on the bike.
There you go, guys. There's a few of our favourite essential upgrades that won't only improve your performance, but help you enjoy the ride more in your chosen discipline.
If you guys have any other cheeky essential upgrades that you've done to your bikes, please drop them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers, guys. Catch you in the next one.